Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Gone are the days of wrestling with our favorite LJN wrestling figures, trying to convince them to stand up. What's a guy to do? I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get on Etsy and look up 4 Left 3D Creations and get yourself these amazing custom LJN figure stands. There is a custom stand available for every single one of your LJN wrestling superstar figures. Make your display shine by grabbing these custom LJN stands from 4 Left 3D Creations today.
Well, hello everybody. Jason up, New Eddie's Revolution Cave. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday and I'm still not used to these glasses. But that's besides the point. What are we going to do today? Well, I decided, instead of playing Nintendo, because I do want to play Metal Gear, but that might be tomorrow. I don't really have any time to do it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. After I took care of the shelf here, after I did my best work over there with my display, I wanted to take a closer look, take a deep dive, if you will, on the WCW Galoob figures. Now we're going to break this down for time's sake. We're going to break it down into 2 videos. The first one is going to be taking a look at Series 1, and then the second one will be taking a look at the UK series, and then some of the 16-inch figures, the belt, some of the carding, some of the bendies, and the ring and cage, which I don't have. It's on the old Grail list. And it shouldn't be on the Grail list because it shouldn't be expensive. But again, it is, because everything is at buy it now and everybody's at $3.99, and I'm not doing that. I'd like to find a WCW Galoob ring and cage on auction and win it for $60. And I'd like to find one with box and win that for $80. But I won't. I'll pay $400. I won't pay $400, but that's what I'll see. Anyway, Galoobs. They are my second favorite line. They are my second favorite figures. Very close second to Remco, but they take second. Obviously, LJN is first, but the Galoobs are so good and so special for many different reasons. As I just said, many different reasons, I just thought of one that I don't know if I thought of before. So I'll jump ahead and tell you now. I played with LJNs my whole childhood, right? And what were they? They were big rubber, big chunks of rubber without any articulation whatsoever. And that's the kind of figure that I was accustomed to. Right? So when Remco's came out, well, they came out right alongside LJN. Skip that. But when Remco's were less played with by me because they were smaller, they moved a little bit, their waists got a little loose, and I wasn't super familiar with the AWA at the time. We go 5 years with the LJNs. Playing with them daily, and then they go away, they die, my childhood dies, and Hasbros come out. And what are Hasbros? They weigh nothing, they're hollow plastic or whatever. Akeem, I think, was hollow. I don't know, I always thought Akeem was hollow. But they're very light plastic, and they're in weird kind of poses, and they're tiny, and they make a lot of noise when you smack them together, and I just... I never fully got into it. But then Galoobs. What are Galoobs? Galoobs are smaller LJNs. They have no articulation. Smaller LJNs, no articulation, and I played with them a ton more than I did Hasbros. And I think it's for the non-articulation reason. And that just says, who we are as kids in imagination in the 80s, because nowadays, I've said many times, adults on this wrestlingfigs.com forum, adults will fight with each other about articulation of their figures, and it's laughable. It's like if aliens were looking down on our planet and saw grown men arguing on a forum about ankle articulation. It'd show who's, the more powerful species. But Why are Galoobs special? Well, again, it goes back to childhood. It goes back to Howie. It goes back to 1989, 1988 or so, 1987 even, as I and we, Howie and I, started, checking out the NWA a little bit more closely, watching that and getting very involved with it and caring more about what was going on in the NWA. And if you care about the NWA and you're a kid and you've got your beautiful LJN figures, what do you start thinking? You start fantasizing about NWA figures. And then you do something silly, like you make, Greg Valentine, Ric Flair or something, and he invades the WWF. I never even did that because it was just so unbelievable. But we would always talk about what if there would be, what if NWA, WCW would come out with figures. And remember, folks, this is a time when we have no internet. We have no internet. We have no information. We have no spoilers. I'm only like, what am I, 13? I'm 13, so I'm not going and I'm not getting inside information from the toy collecting magazines of the time. I mean, we didn't even know they existed. So you found out that stuff was going to happen via commercial or catalog. Well, WWF was more focused on kids and merchandise. So they had the WWF magazine, they had the catalog, they had the LJN commercial, then they started getting, that doing the Hasbro commercial, and they had their figures all over Primetime Wrestling set, and you just knew what was coming out, and I think that even like toy catalogs would showcase them more because they were the WWF, they were Vince McMahon, and they were Hulk Hogan. So they're getting in the toy catalogs, they're getting in the flyers and things like that. NWA is just still this regional little, not little, but this regional company that's, on TBS if you're lucky enough to have it. Then one day, it's a Sunday, and I'm watching WCW Main Event. I think it's around late 89. No, because I think it was warmer out. It might have been around like, I don't know, April 90 maybe? I don't know. But in between, as WCW Main Event or that's the show I think it was a Sunday, as that show is going to commercial, instead of going right to commercial, they go to another bumper, I guess. And it's this. It's a picture of a carded, I remember it being Arn Anderson. It was a picture of a carded Arn Anderson with some kind of graphic coming soon. I don't know. I'd have to look. I'd really have to search. I'd actually have to go back and watch my WCW footage and hope that I have one of those commercials. I'll look on YouTube to see if I can find it. I doubt it. But it was just this. And I remember seeing it and losing my mind and immediately calling up Howie and going, our dreams have come true. They're coming out with WCW figures. They're coming out with NWA figures. And then at that point, it was just a matter of waiting. You just waited. You just waited. You just checked stores, whatever you could get to a store. I mean, you didn't have your driver's license, so you had to wait to get to a store. You'd go to the toy aisle, you'd hope to see them, you'd be disappointed. They'd be right there with, Hasbro's would be there and muscle figures and bootlegs, and never saw the WCWs. I don't remember. I wish I did. I really wish I remember, but I don't remember when and where I got them. I do not remember when and where I got them. I don't, but I got them. And in what was it? Was it 92 or 90? 91. It might have been 91. We had an ice storm here in Rochester, New York. A disaster. We had an ice storm. Shut down schools for weeks. Power was out for weeks. People were dying. We lost power. My grandparents did not. I wasn't yet living with my grandparents. They didn't lose power. So we had to go live with them for like 6, 7, 10 days while the world here got back to normal. And I remember not bringing my LJNs, not bringing my Hasbros, but bringing my Galoob figures with the Hasbro ring. I only ever used these in the Hasbro ring because the WCW ring was a really hard plastic. It was a lot lower. The ropes were thinner. It just felt cheap, and I didn't like playing in it, and I didn't like the loudness of it either. It was too loud. So I used the Hasbro ring for my Galoobs and played with these guys so much more than the Hasbros. And again, I really think it's because of the non-articulation. I mean, they're just mini, harder LJNs. So that tells you where, how my conditioning didn't shift just because Hasbro came out. I love these figures. I have 3 more that I need. I need 3 more to, I guess, complete the line. Like I've said, I need the UK versions of Barry Windham and Lex Luger and the orange trunk Sting. So I'll always be on the hunt for those at toy shows and flea markets, actually. eBay, again, $29.99 for orange trunk Sting. I'm just not doing it right now. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at Series 1. They all came with a generic belt. In some of the prototype figures, the belt is so much nicer. It's actually the big gold belt that Ric Flair wore. This, I guess, is sort of kind of like the big gold belt, but not really. But they all came with a belt, which as a kid I thought was tremendous because belts was something that you lost all the time. And Hasbro only gave you one. LJN only gave you a few. Galoobs, you were getting one with every single figure. So I liked that. We'll start with my favorite figure, my favorite wrestling figure ever. This is my favorite wrestling figure ever. And it's almost like they took the live Ric Flair and just shrunk him into little Galoob Ric Flair. You know what I mean? Like this is Ric Flair if he were frozen in action figure form. And you really can't see. I don't want to take off every belt and show you, but he's got the blue trunks. I mean, this is such a perfect figure. The pose, like that Ric Flair, like pre-lockup pose. I don't know. This is so great. It is my favorite figure of all time. It's got the RF on the boots. Perfect. Absolutely 100% perfect figure. Perfect figure. Next up, a pretty darn close second to a perfect figure. We got Sting. We have Sting number 1, I guess. Perfect detail. I got the scorpion. The belt, of course. The shaved hair in the back with the tail. Remember when Sting rocked that stupid tail? But you got like 2 tones of hair. It's cool. You got like 2 lengths of hair. I think that's awesome that they did that. We got the Stinger, and we got, this is the second Sting for whatever. Maybe this was with Lex Luger, the tag team set. I'm not sure. Don't really care about this one as much. I think this one's great. I can't tell you how many Flair Sting matches I had. I cannot tell you. With the press slam, the 3 or 4 clotheslines with Ric Flair getting up, Sting hitting the ropes, coming back with another clothesline. And then Flair's with the chop. I mean, Flair. Oh, it just looks like Ric Flair when he does it. It just looks like Flair. Great stuff. My next almost favorite figure in the world is the Arn Anderson. Again, played so much with these guys. I had, for whatever reason, I would have Tom Zink, the Z-Man, versus Ric Flair, or versus Arn Anderson daily. So we got Arn. This is non-bald spot Arn. There is a bald spot Arn. Sure. But here you go. Arn Anderson. We do have the Z-Man, Tom Zink, and he would team with another fantastic figure, another figure very often used, Brian Pillman. So we got Flying Brian and Z-Man. Absolutely incredible figures. Another perfect figure, Barry Windham. Bad guy Barry Windham. You know he's a bad guy because he's got the ponytail and the beard. Of course, you're a bad guy with that. But another outstanding figure, Barry Windham. Two tremendous figures, the Steiner brothers. Again, Galoob didn't miss until the UKs. Then they missed. But Galoob did not miss with the US releases at all. The Steiners are perfect. I guess, we got Luger. I don't know why any company in the world does this. I don't get it. I don't understand it. But here you go. Here's Luger. Also played with a lot. Believe it or not, played with him a lot. I mean, we're kids, right? There. He's throwing some punches at you. Ready? He's going to hit a clothesline. Ready? Clothesline. Clothesline. Body slam. Ready? You're kids, man. You use your imagination. Lex Luger. Look at the faces. I mean, look at Luger. That's Luger. It's just good. Sid Vicious. Another tremendous figure. Size is great. I mean, he is taller than the other figures. He's taller. I love it. Galoob just crushed it. Then the most elusive figures that I've ever seen. Snuka was elusive. Akeem or Andre Hasbro was impossible to find. I think it was Andre. I don't know. And Doom. Galoob Doom I've never seen in stores. Just never. And this is where they start to drop it a little bit. This figure is absolutely perfect. Probably a perfect wrestling figure right there. Who is that? Butch Reed. Ron Simmons. They do the pose. There you go. You get that pose. And that's an awful pose. But again, would I play with them? Well, probably if I had them. Never had them. Never ever had Doom as a kid. But good figures. Good figures nonetheless. Really wish they'd done something different with Ron Simmons. So that's it. That's series 1 of the Galoobs. Carded, I mean, they're beautiful. They look fantastic. Some of them have NWA written on them. Some of them have WCW written on them. The backs of the cards was always frustrating because there was no pictures of the figures, so you didn't know what the figures looked like. But they all have the collector's card and the collect all 12 luchadors. Apparently, this is from a Latino printing, I suppose. So we get to collect all the luchadors like Psychosis and Hoovy and Ray and Conan. I don't know. There you go. Galoob's US releases. We'll do UK. We'll take a look at those big ones back there. We'll take a look at the belt there. I'll show you some pictures of the ring and cage. That is all. I'm going to put them all back now very neatly. I'm doing well right now because I took them all off the shelf. We'll see you next time. Good night now.